If you're seeing this, you were meant to watch it alone, not because isolation is the answer, but because this moment needs the quiet that other people's eyes interrupt. The permission you're looking for is small and particular. Permission to hear what has been moving beneath the noise. Listen to that. Let this be just for you. You have been doing a kind of labor nobody applauds. Small decisions at strange hours, 1,000 soft withdrawals from things that no longer fit, nights when you rehearsed conversations that never happened, a ledger of tiny boundaries kept without fanfare. This has weight. It has prepared you. Your shift has already begun, whether you noticed it or not. Save this to watch again in private when you need to. Come back to it like a map you consult in low light. You know what it means to work quietly. You have cultivated patience without anyone recognizing it. You learned to hold an idea near your chest and not show it until it had bone. You learned the difference between telling yourself a story about who you should be and rearranging your life so the claim becomes true. That labor is invisible because it happens in your habits more than in your announcements. It was never meant for public praise. It was meant for a change that listens. Think of the moments you kept to yourself. There was the week you stopped answering at midnight. There were summers when you refused invitations that felt like performances. There was that project you tinkered with alone, learning by doing instead of asking for permission. Each of those choices was a vote. You were asserting a preference. You were practicing a quiet yes to the life you want. You have influenced rooms without trying. Conversations shifted after you left them. People adapted to the steady cadence you kept. Influence without spotlight does not get quoted. It shows up as altered energy, less friction, fewer explanations, the subtle rearrangement of other people's expectations around you. You are not invisible. You have been operating like a current most people do not notice until it changes direction. Lately, something else has been happening. You may feel it as softness around certain edges, or as a strange focus where before there was scattered energy. You may find that small preferences now feel urgent in a way they never did. An invitation you used to accept automatically now lands and you say no, or you say yes in a different tone. These are not failures of will. They are emerging coherence. Your inner arrangement is knitting itself into a clearer shape. There is a context to name that helps explain why this clarity can feel amplified right now. You might have seen footage of lights in the sky, auroras, geomagnetic events, that open up a certain language for this phase. Some people notice that during these energetic rhythms, they feel more sensitive, more attuned, more easily disoriented by other people's currents. Scientists note correlations between geomagnetic activity and subtle shifts in attention and sleep, and many people, anecdotally, report changes in appetite for performance and a greater appetite for solitude. Use that gently as metaphor and as mild explanation. An outside stirring can make your inside clearer. It does not cause spiritual awakenings. It can, however, act like wind pulling a curtain open so you can see the room. Think of it like a landscape after a storm when everything smells different and sounds carry. The same house looks different in that quiet light. Your inner weather and the larger weather sometimes line up. When they do, small choices ripple faster. Not because force is applied, but because the system is primed to respond. Clarity is not the same thing as forcing outcomes. This is crucial to hold. Clarity means you begin to know what you want and what you won't be available for. Responsiveness means the world answers that clarity, not miraculously, not on command, but more directly. You won't conjure success by polishing a wish. You will notice openings because your attention is aligned. Doors will not burst open with trumpets, but some will open without the usual obstructions. Patterns that once required persuasion now bend toward your choice. Imagine two small scenes. In the first, you plan an important conversation and spend hours polishing your argument because you fear being misunderstood. You perform. The talk spins and leaves you exhausted. In the second scene, you do your inner work beforehand. Clarify your needs, calibrate your tone, choose a boundary, and show up without spectacle. The conversation resolves faster because you are steady. The difference is not magic, it is the leverage of clarity. Another time, a professional opportunity lands on your radar. Before, you might have chased the proof, credentials, references, the right story. Now, you notice your internal response first. Does this match the quiet trajectory you've been carving? If yes, you make a gentle but swift choice. If no, you let it go without theatrical justification. Those small acts of selection accumulate. They reroute your life. This is also the moment when energy retention happens. For months, maybe years, you have noticed leaks, social obligations that leave you hollow, conversations that cost more than they return, the habit of explaining yourself until your edges blur. Retaining energy is not stinginess, it is a deliberate practice of protection for what is gestating inside you. It looks like fewer commitments, not because you are avoiding life, but because you are allocating power to what will shape you. What drains you? Performance, perfectionism, the compulsion to constantly narrate yourself for an audience. What expands you? Quiet practice, selective presence, feeding the seed projects that respond to silence. You will learn to identify the difference by watching what is steady after a night of rest and what evaporates. Keep that simple test. You do not need to dramatize exits. You may notice relationships changing, some distance, some cooling, some quieter alignment. This is not always a result of cutting people off. It is more often a natural recalibration. When you stop performing for others, you stop being the version of yourself those people had adapted to. That shift can feel like loss, but it can also reveal who chooses you when you are simply present. Choose presence over performance. Choose selection over spectacle. There is an echo of this in the platform's comments. Someone wrote, "I stopped explaining everything, and suddenly my life stopped being everyone else's business." Read that as confirmation, not as instruction. Many people discover that when they stop offering explanations, the world rearranges around them differently. That brief line is a small mirror. You are not alone in pulling inward so that you can grow outward in a truer shape. Over the next 30 days, pay attention. This is a window, not a deadline. It is a span long enough for small, quiet shifts to become visible, and short enough to keep you focused. Use it as a laboratory. You do not owe anyone an announcement about your process. Treat this time as a private season of experiments and gentle eliminations. Below are daily prompts, tiny invitations, to help you notice the changes and to practice the kind of selection that sustains emergence. These are not rules. They are questions and micro-practices. Day 1. Notice one small preference you have been ignoring. Say it to yourself out loud. No explanation. Just name it. Day 2. Choose one thing you usually perform for, what you usually polish for an audience, and do it without commentary. Observe how it lands. Day 3. Pay attention to your energy before and after a common social interaction. Note anything that feels depleted. Day 4. Turn off notifications for a predictable stretch of time. See what thoughts surface when you are not responding. Day 5. Say no to one invitation that feels like it will cost your clarity. No justification. Save your energy. Day 6. Journal for 5 minutes on what you are trying to build, not who will cheer for it. Day 7. Notice which relationships feel easier when you are quiet and which demand performance. Make a simple plan to protect the easier ones. Day 8. Take a short walk alone and describe your preferred pace. Honor it for the day. Day 9. Practice a 2-minute breathing pause before making any small decision. Observe whether your choices change. Day 10. Select one habit that leaks energy. Scrolling, people-pleasing, late-night explanations, and shorten it by half. Day 11. Notice what instincts arise when you protect a day of privacy. Do you feel clearer? More anxious? Write what comes. Day 12. Share nothing for an hour in spaces where you usually perform. Pay attention to the urge to explain. Day 13. Clean a small physical space, your desk, a drawer, so your environment mirrors inner order. Day 14. Ask yourself what you are no longer willing to teach others by example. Let that answer guide a small boundary. Day 15. Record a private voice note for your future self about what you want to remember from this season. Save it and do not share it. Day 16. Notice opportunities that now feel unappealing. Make a list of why and what feels better instead. Day 17. Allow silence in a conversation you usually fill. Watch what the other person does. Notice your discomfort and your strength. Day 18. Choose one project to move forward in a tiny, unannounced way. Protect that progress. Day 19. Drink water slowly and with attention for a full day. Use the ritual to practice presence. Day 20. Revisit an old pattern you thought you had outgrown. Observe whether it still has pull and whether it respects your current clarity. Day 21. Choose presence over persuasion in one interaction. Practice stating your preference and then listening. Day 22. Notice how your body responds to the word later. Replace some immediate yeses with a measured pause. Day 23. Make a plan for where to put your attention tomorrow morning to begin the day aligned. Day 24. Pick one compliment to accept silently. Notice what happens when you stop polishing it for others. Day 25. Spend 10 minutes tending to something small and necessary, a plant, a habit, a document, and let the care itself be the point. Day 26. Notice who reaches out and how. Track the patterns without reacting immediately. Day 27. Say less about your intentions and do more toward them. Keep the doing private. Day 28. Sit with a feeling of discomfort and ask what it wants to show you. Treat it as information, not judgment. Day 29. Notice what feels like pressure versus what feels like invitation. Choose the invitations. Day 30. Write one sentence to the person you are becoming. Keep it somewhere private and reread it in 3 months. These prompts are scaffolding. They are not guarantees. Use them as ways to collect evidence of who you are becoming. Keep your notebooks closed if that feels right. Let privacy be the soil where these seeds find root. During these 30 days, you will notice certain things becoming clearer. Choices will be crisp. Invitations that once seemed urgent will reveal themselves as noise. People who were hand in glove with your old version may drift, not always with drama, often with quiet distance. That does not mean you are losing people. Sometimes you are simply making room for different kinds of belonging. Emergence looks like smaller, truer moves. You will speak less to prove. You will act more to align. Your decisions will be cleaner because you have trimmed the hedges around them. The emergent self is not flawless. It carries scars and strange pockets of tenderness. It moves with steadier feet. It makes mistakes but learns faster because it does not hide from its errors under performance. Imagine the emergent self in sensory terms. There is a steadier breath. There is a softer cadence to laughter. There is less need for exclamation points. Your mornings feel less urgent. Your evenings less scattered. You notice yourself refusing to add drama where gentleness will do. When you enter a room now, your presence is not loud. It is proportionate. People may not immediately comment on you, but they remember the clarity you left behind. Contrast emergence with healing. Healing looks backward. It tends to repair wounds, to stitch together what was broken. Emergence looks forward. Emergence does not deny past pain. It integrates it into a new operating system. You do not become someone else because you reject your past self. You become someone who carries the past with more sovereignty. Healing can be circular. Emergence is directional. In practical choices, the emergent self picks alignment over explanation. You will notice less storytelling about why you are doing something. You will hold fewer conversations that exist only to convince the listener of your worth. Instead, you will act in ways that make your intentions legible through results. That can feel frightening, this refusal to narrate everything, but it is also efficient. People who matter will respond. Those who only needed a show will move on. Protecting your privacy is not avoidance, it is provision. You are making space for your ideas to mature without being picked apart. Think of it as building a room before you invite furniture into it. It is okay to keep drafts private. It is okay to keep relationships in careful orbit until you can show up as you truly are. Protect the nascent things like you would protect a sapling from sudden wind. You may be tempted to announce changes as they happen because the instinct for recognition is strong. Instead, consider small acts of selection. If someone consistently asks for more than you can give, choose one modest boundary. If your work requires intense concentration, choose a span of time when you are unbothered. If your creativity needs foundational solitude, schedule it like a meeting. These are not punishments for others, they are maintenance for you. There will be moments of loneliness in this process. Solitude is not the same as loneliness, but they overlap. When your life recalibrates toward clarity, you may temporarily outgrow certain social grooves. That is normal. It is also temporary. The important thing is to hold that space with kindness toward yourself. Loneliness often calls for companionable small acts. A walk, a call with one trusted friend, a public space where you are simply present without performance. You are doing quiet leadership now. Leadership does not require a podium. It is the slow accretion of influence through modeled behavior. When you show up as someone who clarifies instead of performing, people learn that different ways of being are possible. You become a lever. That is rare and valuable. But remember, leadership is stewardship. Use your influence responsibly by selecting rather than demanding. A practical piece of counsel: stop explaining for a while. Not forever, just stop the habit of clarifying yourself at every turn. Allow your actions to speak and your silence to hold meaning. You will be surprised how quickly people adjust. If someone cannot tolerate the new you, that reveals their relationship to the old you more than it reveals a failing in you. Softness and firmness can coexist. Protecting your growth does not require rigidity. It can be a gentle firmness, a calm refusal that does not need to be loud. There is strength in softness because it preserves energy and invites reciprocity. Practice saying, "I can't do that right now," with a soft voice. Practice choosing small pleasures that nourish instead of deplete. As you experiment, notice patterns in the people who lean in and those who pull away. Do not make their choices proof about you. Their responses are data, not destiny. Use that data to make better selections. Let it inform who you invite into the next phase of your life. Some relationships will expand in maturity with you, some will contract. Both outcomes are natural. Honor both without casting blame. You may also notice new doors that were previously invisible. Opportunities land differently when you are aligned. They often arrive as small openings rather than headline events. A conversation that lasts 5 minutes can lead to a project that reshapes your trajectory. A casual message can lead to a collaboration that builds slowly but steadily. Keep your attention on the small signs. The emergent life is less about spectacle and more about consistent accrual. There will be friction. Not every person, situation, or opportunity belongs to the emergent self. That friction is useful. It clarifies. When you feel friction, ask whether you are resisting because of habit or because of truth. Pause. Listen. Decide again. The emergent path asks for curiosity more than certainty. One of the most practical shifts you can make: protect your plans. When something is in a formative phase, do not parade it for validation. This is a common pattern. We show the outline of a project seeking encouragement, and in doing so, we diffuse the energy that would have been used to build it. Keep certain things private. Let them be real before they become public narratives. This is not secrecy for its own sake. It is respect for the creative process. Another practice: stop performing apologies. When you change, some people will test you with familiar dynamics. Respond with steady clarity rather than performative contrition. Ownership matters. Performance does not. If you have harmed someone, repair it. If not, you do not owe theatrical self-erasure to make others comfortable. You may wonder how to hold tenderness in this season. The emergent self is tender, not fragile. Tenderness lives in boundaries that say, I will protect what grows. It lives in acceptance of small failures and in the quiet rituals you keep for your well-being. Tenderness is not indulgence, it is sovereignty. Remember that emergence is incremental. This is why the 30-day window matters. It is long enough to collect evidence and short enough to avoid flattening your life into a single push. Keep a private ledger of small wins. One day you said no without shame. Another day you finished a draft without seeking external praise. These wins compound into a different life architecture. If you have a habit of seeking external measurement, likes, replies, outward markers, notice how those measures feel less necessary when you are building from the inside. There is a different kind of metric: consistency, internal ease, the number of projects you finish that serve your life rather than your image. Use those measures to guide you. You are allowed to be quiet about your achievements. In fact, quiet achievements are often more reliable. They attract steady collaborators rather than fair-weather fans. They invite people who are genuinely interested in what you do rather than in the performance of doing it. That kind of company is rarer and deeper. As you progress, practice gratitude in private. Gratitude is not a show, it is a stabilizer. When you notice something working, an easier conversation, a project moving without drama, say thank you privately. Keep nothing of the gestures only for public consumption. Let your gratitude be an inner current that recalibrates your nervous system. You may be tempted to test your influence publicly to see if you still have it. Resist that urge for a while. Influence exercised privately reveals much more about your integrity than influence staged for validation. Choose experiments that do not require an audience. Let your life be the demonstration. Toward the end of this private window, make a gentle inventory. What feels different? Which conversations changed? Which projects advanced with surprising ease? Who is still near you when you are no longer performing? Who reached out to ask how you are, not what you can do for them? Use these observations to make small, practical decisions about what to invite into the next season. This is also a time to practice saying less about the future and acting more toward it. The emergent self is future-facing without apologizing for present needs. You can plan and protect in the same breath. You can dream quietly and move steadily. There will be days you doubt this process. Doubt is not opposition. It is part of how you test reality. Bring doubt into the same room as your curiosity and ask it what evidence it needs. Show it small results. Do not let doubt demand loud drama before it will trust change. You are building fidelity to yourself. Fidelity takes small, repeated commitments. If you are tempted to accelerate everything because the window feels short, slow down. Urgency is not the same as clarity. Emergence relies on timing that respects the material of your life. People, obligations, rhythms. Push only when you have to. Otherwise, cultivate patience. Patience is not passive, it is disciplined attention. In the months after this private season, you will see the first public hints of the work you did in silence. Not everyone will notice. Some will ask for explanations. Offer them, if you wish, briefly. Most will simply receive the presence you now carry and adjust. Let their adjustments be their responsibility. Finally, name the emergent self for yourself. Give it a sentence that is both honest and aspirational, something you can read on difficult mornings. It might be simple. I am someone who chooses first for clarity, then for ease. Keep that sentence private and let it anchor you. If this landed for you, leave a quiet comment below about one small change you're noticing, or save this for later and return to the prompts in private. Subscribe if you want more reflections like this, but above all, protect the next 30 days as a private season. Let the work you do alone be the work that answers you back.